What is the history behind the name of the Mughal Empire? This is by Abhijit Deshpande. Thank you, Abhijit. Good question. So the name the Mughal Empire makes it sound like these are Mongols, right? Now, when these so-called Mughals invaded India, they called themselves Turks. They spoke Turkic languages. Most of them spoke the Chagatai language, I believe. Uh, the so-called slave dynasty, Mamluk dynasty, Balban, Iltutmish, etc., their mother tongue was Chagatai. So that is a Turkic language. It seems to be connected to the Mongols because Genghis Khan's son's name was Chagatai, but Chagatai, the language, was a Turkic language. All right. So these Islamic invaders of India, including the so-called Mughals, were actually Turks. And the Indians called these people Turks, and they themselves called themselves Turks. But it is the British, in their revised history of India, in the Macaulayan education system, it is the British who started calling them Mughals. And that's why we still go on using that same terminology. They were not Mughals, they were not Mongols, they did not practice Mongolian culture, they did not practice Tengrism, Buddhism, Hinduism, any of that, right? The so-called Mughals practiced Islam. They did not speak a Mongolian language. They spoke Turkic languages. So they were Turks in all ways. So that is the very brief history about the Mughal Empire, that it originated as Turkic invaders. They were not Mongols. Now, who are these Turkic invaders? Did they have Mongolian ancestry? Some of them did. What happened was that Genghis Khan conquered such an enormous empire that after his death, it was divided into very large pieces, and all of each of these pieces was administered and ruled by one of his sons. Now, though those of his sons and descendants who ruled the Islamic parts of the world eventually became Turkicized. They married among the Turkish people. They adopted Turkish customs and the language and the Islamic religion, and eventually they became Turks. So their Mongolian identity was erased very quickly in just a couple of generations or three, four generations down the line. So they may have had some Mongolian blood, but they were Turkic in all ways. So that is a very big misconception among Indians, that the Mughals were Mongols. They were not Mongols, they were Turks.